dirty old chopper with the engine out. So this is where we are. Engine is out of the bike. Bike is moved out of the way. Engine is now set into its 3 main bits. And we'll look at each one of them and see what we think. So remember, the only reason we took this to bits really was because the oil leak from here, which is where the cylinder block goes onto the main engine block, this was leaking oil so bad that it was just puddles of oil if you look at the previous videos. So I've had to strip it all down just to get to this, but I figured while I'm here, I might as well get this horrible black stuff off of here, and I've got my shot blaster thing over there, or I can try some more paint stripper just to see. And I might, while I'm doing that, I might as well consider if I can engrave the heads with a Dremel and do some diamond cutting and cool stuff and see what we can do. But let's have a quick look at the state of the engine, and it's a tale of two cities really. It's very strange. So if we look at the bores, for example, there's no massive lip at the top of the bore, which suggests medium wear. There is some scoring within the bore. I don't know if you can see that. That's not a reflection. That is actual scoring in the bore. So I need to give those a clean up and see what they do. I've got a internal bore gauge, so I'll be able to accurately measure the size of the bore to see where we're at. When I look at the cylinder head, everything's pretty nice. A little bit of oil staining on the cams. I thought the cams were fairly average. I think I've shown the cams before, but now I've got them out, I can see them. When I look at the cam chain guides, they're medium worn. They could certainly go again. Don't need to be replaced. When I look at them, they're not that bad. They're not that worn. There's not a massive groove in them. There's some wear, but there's plenty more wear in them. So those are probably okay. And everything seems to be reasonable. None of the bearings seem to be... Obviously, you look at the bearings, and the bearings, if I just wipe that with a bit of something... This hasn't been cleaned yet, so I need to clean it out, but if I wipe this with a bit of stuff... I mean, that bearing is not too bad at all. You know, there's not been any oil starvation or anything horrible happened in here. You know, they're not that bad. There's a little bit of a stain on there, but not that serious. So yeah, bearing in mind that we've only got what 10-15 years of petrol left anyway, and I'm not going to ride it that much. As long as I build it reasonably, it should be all right. So that's all reasonably okay. Then we move to the engine block itself. Just move this chair around a little bit. And actually, there's not as much carbon on these pistons as I was expecting. I mean, that one's fairly light. So it may have been to bits by someone else. And you can see I've cleaned this up a little bit just to see where that oil leak was. If there's any damage. I wondered if someone had put a screwdriver in there and damaged. But at the moment, I'll obviously put a flat edge on it, but it doesn't look like it's damaged. So this all looks like it will clean up. So what I'll obviously do while I'm down here is I'll take the sump off the bottom and scrape all the goo out. And there's bound to be something nasty in there. There's no point in me filming doing this because every man and their dog has filmed the rebuild of a CB750. And there's loads of videos from rebuilding it. So I just update on what I'm doing, a 5-minute update. So yeah, we're getting there. The only real problem I had, and the irony was this was the first bolt I undid, was this bolt. This one holds one of the cam chain guides on, and it was the first bolt I went to undo pretty much. It just snapped clean off in my hand. I was like, oh, you're kidding me. But luckily it's left a little bit of a top on it, so I can probably drill that out. I have no idea why it snapped off. There's just no logic as to why that would snap, but it did. So I'll clean all this up and we'll see what we can do. I might leave inside this valley bit red, or maybe I'll make it silver. I don't know. We'll see. But basically it all needs a clean up. It all needs this black crap taken off. Yeah, so not too bad. So the other thing I did was I measured up all my shims, because obviously these are bucket shims, and the Jaguars that I'm used to working on, the shim sits underneath the bucket. But on these, the cam lobe hits the shim on the top, which I guess is a more clever idea because it's easier to change a shim than it is a bucket. So once again, something that's better than Jaguar. So most of these were a bit tight. I worked out which ones need replacing, and I've got a list here that I can buy. It's even in a little spreadsheet, look. So I need 4 at 290, 4 at 285 and 1 at 280. And then all my shim gaps should be about right. Went to the Netley Marsh Auto Jumble and I was hoping that there would be some bits there, but it was a complete loss. There was just nothing at Netley. The only thing I managed to get at Netley was this filter. It's the only thing in a whole Auto Jumble that I could buy. And that was £9, so I don't even know if that was a good bargain. But I've been buying some tools as well. So the first thing I've got, this is for removing the shims with the cams in. So you use this to push the bucket down and you can get the shim out. That's how you do the shimming on this. It's so much easier than the Jaguar. On the Jaguars, you've got to undo the camshaft each time. So this makes things much easier. Oh, it's 12, 14 quid or something. And this as well, this is interesting. So I bought these Japanese industrial spanners. So this is very interesting. They look like a Phillips. They smell like a Phillips, but they're not a Phillips. They're a different size. And as I found out when I was trying to unbolt some stuff earlier, where was it? It was, yes, it was here, look. So it was on the alternator. These bolts here, focus. I almost rounded them off by using a normal screwdriver, focus. So yeah, so those screwdrivers will really help me going forward. So yeah, that's something for me to work on and look at. I need to start stripping all this paint off. A lot of work ahead. That's without the engraving, so I don't know. So yeah, there we go. That is the Dirty Old Chopper update, engine in bits, and the start of the winter project.